Hey everybody, my name is Anthony Hook. I'm a consulting engineer with Heartland Business Systems based out of the Midwest. Today we're going to be going through discovering PowerCLI without reading documentation. But you kind of have to read a little bit to kind of know some things, but it's not going to be to read the documentation and you'll be a wizard. So standard disclaimer. Why should we learn PowerCLI? Why is PowerCLI useful? Why is it good? Why should you care? It's a really good tool to automate some repetitive tasks. If there's things that you're doing in your environment every day and you're wasting the same 5, 10, 15 minutes doing the same thing, automate that. Make a script that'll do it for you so you don't have to, worry about doing it, making a typo. You can still typo in your scripts and you'll mess up every day, but you'll probably catch that. Reporting. There's some really good community tools for reporting that you can run against your environment, and it can, grab inventory and configuration and all kinds of stuff. So that can be super useful in your environment. And the last one that I've got, configuration. You can make configuration changes. You can build things. You can destroy things. You can do all sorts of things from the command line. So some of the prerequisites, or before prerequisites, some of the things that are new, I'm not going very in depth. There's a lot of other content that can take you through it a lot more than I can. One of the cool things that's newer, 6.5.1, and I'm sure all the subsequent releases, PowerCLI modules load as you use them. If anybody's used it before then, you had to specifically load a module before you wanted to use, a command like connect-vi server. You had to load the PowerCLI modules into PowerShell. So those are loaded kind of on the fly. You can still tab complete through those. And I'm not covering it in depth, but if you're moving to the new version, 6.5.1, uninstall your old MSI first, and there's ways to install the new version. Again, I'm not going to go through that. So one of the first things that I think every person that's using PowerShell should know about is tab complete. I still run into some people that don't know what tab complete is. They're typing out the command and they'll typo something and it doesn't work, and tab complete can save you a ton of time, and it's actually a really good way to discover new commands that you don't know about, which is kind of the whole point of this. So it'll auto-complete commands for you. It'll speed up your writing, less mistakes. You can start to type the beginning of a word and hit tab complete, and it'll finish it for you. For example, get dash, and then you hit the tab key. It will show you an alphabetical list of all of the commands that you can do, get dash something. You can double tab, and it will actually show you all of the list of everything that you can do. And the other super useful one, I actually just learned this recently. If you're using the first get dash tab, you might return something that'll start with an A, and then it'll go to the B commands and then the C commands. If you pass it, before I would either just delete the line and start over again and tab. I hit tab 17 times to get there. You can actually do shift tab and it'll go back one. So super useful if you're actually tabbing through some of the commands. So some of the types of commands, they're always based on verbs. So get dash thing will return you some sort of object. It's a pull / display of data. It's not going to make any changes. It's just extracting information for you. Set, my tab is off, I just realized. Set dash thing. That's where you can actually make a change to something. You can set on a cluster, for example, you can turn off high availability or DRS or something. So you can actually make a change to a property with set commands. New thing, obviously, create something new. You can create new virtual machines. You can create new clusters. You can do all kinds of, you can add hardware to virtual machines. And delete thing, of course, deletes whatever you're doing. Homestar Runner reference. I'm not sure if anybody's going to catch that or not. Yes, okay, we got one Homestar Runner fan, 90s Flash thing. So delete thing, of course, be very careful with delete thing because you could actually get something and then delete it and it's gone. So there are ways to, oh, get help, okay. I thought I was going a different direction. So get help is a super useful command. So if you're tabbing through something and you want to find some sort of information, but you don't really know how to use that command, get help is a super useful tool. Once you kind of fumble through, git cluster, but you don't really know how to use it. Maybe you want to get a specific cluster, or maybe you want to get all of them. Get help can tell you how to use those commands. So the way that you run it is get help or get dash help and then a command. And there's different flags that you can tag onto the end of it. So if you use dash examples, it'll show you example usage of how to use that command. Here's 5, 6, 7 different things that you can do with this command or ways to use it. Super useful. The other one is dash detailed. So it'll show you a full description of the command, what the command does, the parameters that it'll accept, and then again, it'll also include examples. Full will give you the same thing, but it'll be more verbose about it. It'll tell you the types of input, if it accepts like a true, false, yes, no, if something's required, if something's not. It'll give you a little bit more details about the command. If they take wildcards, as you get a little more advanced, you can do input pipelining, so you can do a lot of those cool one-liners. It'll kind of tell you a little bit about that command and what it'll do. Caught it. Get help, and then the command dash online will actually open your web browser, and it will take you to the official documentation and tell you the same sort of thing. So if you want to read it in a web browser instead of a command prompt, you can do dash online and get it from there. Obviously requires internet access. And dash show window. I actually didn't really know about this, and Ariel Sanchez and the vBrownBag crew, we were talking about this, and he's like, oh, show window. It'll actually pop up a window for you and show you the examples. A window you can close and minimize, so you can have your second monitor be a reference for certain commands if you want to. So that's pretty useful. So get help, get dash help. You got to type it a lot. Yes, you can autocomplete it if you want to. You'd probably have to at least do get dash h tab, and maybe help would be next. You can also just use help, and help is a little bit different. It's the equivalent of using get dash help and then pipe it to more. So that'll actually paginate it for you, which means it'll fill up your terminal window and require you to press a key before it scrolls down. If you use just get dash help, if you're running a command that's has 10 pages of documentation, it's going to fill your terminal with 10 pages of documentation. So help is useful because it'll paginate that, press spacebar to go to the new line or whatever the command is. If you're just starting out in your environment and your environment's production or testing, start with some safe commands first. I wouldn't try messing around with delete commands because you could do some damage. So get is a really good safe command to start out with. You're just pulling information from your environment. You're not actually creating, deleting, making anything that could be catastrophic or cost quite a bit of money. So for some extra safety, there's also 2 switches that you can add onto your commands to kind of make sure that you know what you're doing. So the first one is dash what if, and it doesn't do so if you do delete a virtual machine or something, you do dash what if, it's going to tell you exactly what it's going to do, but not do that thing. It's useful if you're doing, a one-liner, if you're starting to get a little more advanced and you're chaining your commands, like get cluster and then get host and then, get all the VMs or something like that. And maybe you want to delete all your snapshots. Dash what if will kind of give you a little safe, like this is what it's going to do. It's actually going to delete, these things on these VMs and tell you what it's going to do without doing it. And the other one is confirm. So you can, some commands let you do this. If you want to do create or delete, you can have, confirm false, and it won't bug you about every one. So if you're deleting, 100 snapshots, you don't have to hit, yes, I want to delete this snapshot. Yes, I don't want to delete that snapshot. You can do confirm false, and it'll just go through and do everything for you. Or you can do confirm true, where you want to have that control before you actually do something. You want to hit the key to authorize that to happen. So just extra levels of safety that you can put into some commands as you're learning how to use PowerCLI. And then for even more safety, and this is really the last thing that I'm going to touch on, VMware has some hands-on, I think there's 2 hands-on labs regarding PowerCLI. If you're not familiar with the hands-on labs, they're free, they're web-based. You can use them for, I think it depends on the lab, like an hour and a half, and then you can extend your time. You're actually getting a live environment. There's instructions on you can follow the lab if you want to. You can break things, you can fix things, you can do anything you want in those hands-on labs. And you can do them as many times as you want. So they do have one regarding PowerCLI, and it's how to get started. They do some commands in, you connect to a vCenter, and there's some cluster setting. There's three different phases. I don't remember exactly what they are, and you can check those out. But that's another safe way if you don't have a testing environment or you don't have a lab yourself, but you kind of want to get more familiar with how to use PowerCLI. You can do these hands-on labs for free and run it in a safe environment, so you're not breaking anything. So that was really my last slide. There's a ton of blog posts on how to get started and how to actually get it installed. It's a pretty easy process nowadays. Compared to what it used to be, and fumble through tab complete. Fire up a PowerShell command and just tab complete some commands, and you can see all sorts of information that you can pull out of your environment and do if you want to discover on your own rather than reading somebody else's blog post. So hope this was helpful. That's all I got. Thank you.